Archlich finally turned the thriving kingdom into ruins. His army of undead didn't spare a single human in sight and shredded them to pieces. The only person left standing on humanity's side was the Empire's strongest swordsman, Oz, who already looked worse for wear and was on the brink of giving up. But this story isn't about that knight, nor is it about the Archlich. It's the story of Damien Haxon working under Archich's command as his Death Knight. He was just a normal human until Archlich cast dark magic and took control of him. But before Archich could savor the crown he earned after countless deaths, my guy had already broken free from Archich's control. He unleashed an attack that struck Archich right in the chest, so hard even his demon generals couldn't shield him. Damien Hawken had finally moved with his own will, much to Archlich's shock, who had erased Damien's consciousness completely. But as fate would have it, Archlich was never able to fully factory reset our boy's mind. Some part of his soul and mind stayed intact, dormant in his head, watching his own body out of control. Under Archich's command, his demon generals launched an attack on Damien, only to get obliterated by a single strike from him. In a last-ditch effort, Archlich played his trump card and summoned God knows how many undead. The entire horde charged toward Damien, aiming to claim his life. But once again, all it took was a single hand gesture to incinerate the undead into smithereens. Seeing this, Archlich could tell his end was near. He had unintentionally created a monster so peerless it could rival the gods themselves. To save his own skin, which Archich didn't really have, he started smoothing things over with mere words. Keep in mind, even if he failed to sway Damien with talk, he planned to transfer his soul into another vessel. I don't think Damien was going to let this bastard off the hook, at least not after losing the people he loved. To kill this sack of bones, Damien went so far as to create a technique that severs souls themselves. At first, Archlich refused to believe such a technique existed. Still, he tried to make a run for it before it was too late. But it was already too late because my guy had finally unleashed his final strike, hitting Archlich squarely in the chest. At first, nothing happened, much to this bony head's relief, convinced the technique was just a bluff. But he soon learned it wasn't. Some painful magic mojo took hold, and he exploded right there, leaving only his empty skull behind. Even that remaining skull was crushed to bits by Damien. With his revenge complete, Damien lost the will to live. He literally killed his own family while under that bastard control. He brutally slaughtered them, while some part of him helplessly watched his loved ones die. The only way he could reunite with those he killed was after death. With that in mind, he took his own life. But it wasn't the end. His prayers were heard, and he opened his eyes again. The person in front of him waking up is his sweet older sister. Bro thinks he is in heaven watching his sister, though the unusual thing is that she looks way younger. She overhears him calling her younger and is flattered right on the spot. For a moment, she thinks he is trying to get on her good side, just so she can save him from their father's scolding. Being the good sister she is, she agrees to save his ass in desperate times. She eventually runs off to the mansion, not before telling him to get inside, since it will soon start raining. Damon takes note of the mansion standing tall right in front of him, the same mansion he had burned down to ashes. He is clueless about what is happening. The closest thing to describe his condition is that he is dreaming. Or maybe everything he had endured in the past was just a big dream, and he has finally woken up in reality. But he is sure he will find out soon enough. He grabs a tree branch off the ground and stands in front of a giant rock to unleash his knightly prowess he had while he was acting as Death Knight. He takes his stance, and, with the help of his past teachings, he pokes the hard rock with that mere tree branch. For a second, nothing happens. Then the giant rock shatters into bits and pieces, confirming that what he went through in the past wasn't just a vivid dream. This realization cracks him up, causing him to pull a classic light Yagami laughing pose. He slumps down after laughing so hard, the weight of realization sinking in. What he is witnessing isn't a mere dream, nor was his past experience just a dream. He has returned to the past, a realization that hits him deeply. Let's have a little background on Damien's life at his current age. As far as Damien could recall, he was a clown who always brought shame to the family name with his antics. His father was always there to remind him how pathetic and loser-like a son he was, someone who only contributed by tarnishing the family's name. His antics only brought misery to the people around him. He stomped all over his family's future and even made sure their household properties got confiscated. Because of his talent for bringing shame and ruin, his father kicked him out. Among all the family members, the only person who still saw Damien in a positive light was his older sister. He never understood why she was always so supportive and concerned, even though he ruined her life by destroying her engagement. Before he left, she offered him some money to ease his journey. He hesitated, but eventually snatched the sack of money and ran away as fast as he could, because he could barely look at her without getting embarrassed. After running away from the family, he finally realized how wrong and cursed his existence really was. The shame and guilt gnawed at him, causing him to have profound. Back in the present, Damien sits on his knees, racking his brain, trying to figure out what triggered his regression. Sure, he wanted to apologize to the rest of his family, but to think his prayers were actually heard, that he really came back to the past, is kind of insane. Only a divine miracle could explain this. He looks down at his trembling hands, still shaking from the recoil of the technique he just executed. The technique is called wave breaking, a move that amplifies the impact of a blow several-fold. He learned it after defeating the knight, known as the Castle Wall Destroyer. Suddenly, a familiar voice grabs his attention, a concerned servant calling out to him. The guy is clearly here with urgent news, otherwise he wouldn't be dragging his heavy body all the way out here in a full sprint. Damon knows he's from the household staff, but for the life of him, can't recall his name. Then the name finally surfaces in his mind. Perhaps he is Victor. Victor confirms his name and immediately questions why his young master is still loitering out here, even though Lady Louise personally came to fetch him. According to the servant, the patriarch is boiling with rage right now. Damien, meanwhile, has no freaking clue what he even did to piss his father off this much, but we're about to find out. Back at the Haxon Viscounty, the patriarch's furious and thunderous voice echoes through the mansion. The man is so pissed that he tries to strike Damien on the spot with an improvised swing. Luckily, Damien dodges just in time thanks to his honed skills as a knight. Just then, his mother and sister rush in and arrive in the nick of time, grabbing hold of the patriarch before he actually shreds Damien to pieces. Turns out, our boy got kicked out of bar for causing a massive commotion, once again staining the family name. The whole town is already talking about how the Haxon heir is a good-for-no troublemaker. If it weren't for the mother and daughter duo, the old man probably would have cracked Damien's skull open right there. They're both trying to smack some sense into the furious father. Meanwhile, Damien is having a moment of reflection. He can't even remember the last time he got scolded like this. But now that it's happening, weirdly enough, he feels alive. Let's do some quick introductions. The angry old man is Paul Osborne Haxon. The mother is Marilda Haxon. And the sister, his sweet saving grace, is Louise Haxon. It might be chaotic out here, but Damien missed this so damn much in his past life. Tears start leaking from his eyes, totally uninvited. The family stares in disbelief. Their son crying like this, that's seriously unheard of. Even his father simmers down a bit. Before delivering punishment, he gives his son a chance to explain himself. But Damison's got nothing. No excuses, no deflections. Well, this response comes out as a shocker to his father. As far as his family is concerned, Damien is the guy who used to weasel his way out of everything with lame excuses. But now he owns up to everything. He admits he brought disgrace to the Haxon name. It's all his fault, and he's not ashamed to say it. Daddy lets out a long sigh. This isn't how things usually go. Still, he's not sure if a bit of sincerity his son is showing is enough to let him go off the hook. With all due respect, Damien says he's ready to make up for what he did. He's willing to do whatever it takes to fix the damage and salvage the family's honor. And once he's done that, he's ready to face any punishment his father sees fit. The declaration leaves his family stunned. He sounds like a completely different person. The father even wonders if the boy hit his head or something. Scene cuts to Merchant City landwork. Victor and Damien are sneaking toward the pub. The servant is visibly tense, full of apprehension. He's not sure this is a good idea. There are rumors that the pub is backed by a syndicate. If that's true, things could get ugly. But Damien, who was once a fearless death knight, just walks past his servant, casually giving him permission to head back if he's that scared. Victor, ever the loyal servant, shakes his head. He's duty-bound and isn't about to leave his master, especially not because of fear. Damien reassures him that they're only here to talk to the pub owner and sincerely apologize for the mess he caused last time. He just wants to make things right. As he walks, he hopes everything goes as smoothly as he's picturing in his head. He doesn't know how or why he came back to the past. But if some god really gave him a second shot at life, he's not about to waste it. If he wants to break the curse of always ruining his family's future, he has to start taking bold steps. Once he stands in front of the pub's gate, two thugs immediately take notice. They recognize the face and respond cockily and aggressively. Damien can't remember them clearly as it's been so long, but they do look familiar. Without getting aggressive himself, he keeps his tone calm. He lets them know that he's only here to apologize for the chaos he caused during his last visit. The two thugs freeze for a second, unsure how to react. When his words finally sink in, they burst into laughter. To them, it's hilarious to see Damien, the so-called disgraceful heir, suddenly acting polite and respectful. They've always seen him as the shitty elder son of a shitty household. But now, they're forced to admit he doesn't seem that bad. Damien just stands there silent, listening to them yap. Then they take it too far. They bring up his sister and start saying vile, disgusting things about her. They're willing to accept his apology under the stipulation that he introduces them to his sister. Creepy bastards leave no doubt about how trashy they are. And just like that, it stops being about apologies. Damien swipes a dagger from one of them so fast that the guy doesn't even realize it's gone. Originally, Damien just wanted to say sorry and leave peacefully, but turns out he doesn't have that much patience after all. With a clean, precise swing, he severs one of their hands completely. The guy drops to his knees, screaming in agonizing pain once his brain registers what just happened. The other one immediately draws his sword, though he's visibly flinching. Damien's killing instinct kicks in. The dormant Death Knight inside him begins to surface. And let's not forget Victor in the background, absolutely losing his mind. He's crying out, dreading what's about to go down. The screams of the injured thug soon grab the attention of passers-by. One guy gets curious about the fight, while the other decides to keep walking before they get caught up in this mess. The thug, who still has both hands, tries to intimidate Damien with a few shallow threats. He brags about the gang he belongs to, the Black Snake. No one walks away unscathed after messing with Black Snake. Looks like these aren't just random street thugs after all. Even Damien has some memory of this faction. Black Snake is an organization expanding its influence in land work around this time. And this pub is one of their spots. When Damien complained about their overpriced food back in the day, the only thing he got in the feedback was a brutal beating. Not just beaten, they humiliated him in front of everyone there. Now that he thinks about it, he's the one who actually deserves an apology, not the other way around. Back to the fight. The thug makes it clear that being a noble won't save Damien from the consequences he's about to face. He finally lunges with his sword at full strength. Damien just takes a step back, trips the thug over his feet, and lets the bastard eat dirt. Before he can even finish coughing and get up, Damien's already on him with his dagger. The bastard should be grateful he's only about to lose a leg. If it weren't for his family, wiping these guys off the face of the world wouldn't be hard. With that threat clear, Damien slices off the thug's leg, making him double over in pain. More thugs show up, drawn by the screams. They also seem to be a little shaken, seeing the brutality that unfolded there. Only one of the thugs is courageous enough to stand right at the front while the others hide behind him. He demands to know which organization Damien belongs to and where he's from. Obviously, Damien denies any ties to any gang. As for why he is here just to apologize, though. After thinking it over, he figures he should be the one getting an apology. He also has a complaint for the pub owner. This sassy dude isn't willing to entertain Damien's requests. All they want is his identity. Since he's not telling, they fear they'll have to make him speak. The leader orders his goons to charge. The brainless thugs rush at Damien, unaware of what's coming. Damien doesn't even feel like wasting time on these small fries. He takes a deep breath and zips past them with sonic speed, slicing off hands that were never meant to wield swords against him. One dash later, 3 guys are down. Damien is seriously rocked, while the leader of the thugs is absolutely shocked. Though that quick dash took a little toll on his young and fragile body, still he's got enough strength left to finish off the guy in front of him, and he's ready. The bastard tries to beg for mercy, offering an apology if Damien's willing to forgive, but it's clear this whiny little bitch isn't getting any mercy, at least not until Damien claims one of his limbs. The scene quickly shifts inside the pub, which is brimming with life. But the mood changes fast when everyone notices the whiny guy standing petrified near the entrance. Poor bastard couldn't outrun his doom. As his body falls to one side, Damien stands there, all eyes on him. He wipes blood from his cheek while the customers, who were enjoying their drinks seconds ago, scatter for their lives. Good thing that unnecessary nuisance left right away, leaving Damien alone to settle his score with the pub owner. The owner stands above in the corridor, furious about the noise. More than anything, he's mad there's no guard in sight. This bar owner looks like some goofy character straight out of One Piece. His name's Anderson Hom. Damien only adds salt to the wound by casually revealing he already took down the guards Anderson's talking about. The weight of the situation finally sinks into Anderson's mind. It's unbelievable that someone defeated members of Black Snake. He demands Damien explain why he's causing such a mess and disrupting his business, and more importantly, who he even is. Damien introduces himself without hesitation. He clears the air. He never meant to cause trouble. All he wants is a sincere apology from the owner. The place is way overpriced, and he's already filed a complaint before. The only feedback he got was a humiliating beating and being thrown out like a dog. Everyone misunderstood him and assumed he was the troublemaker. This misunderstanding hit his family's honor hard, causing some serious losses. Anderson, the big mustache bastard, still hasn't realized what kind of situation he's in. Instead of feeling contrition, he mocks Damien and his family. He's heard the Haxon Viscounty has no honor left anyway, which is something this clown finds quite laughable. What's even funnier is that Damien actually expected him to apologize. Seems like my guy had already been expecting this exact response out of this bastard. Initially, he was planning to spare this bastard once he had apologized sincerely. But now he's got the perfect excuse to exact a juicy revenge he's been craving. He won't forgive this bastard talking trash about his family. In a split second, Damien maneuvers so fast he reaches the bastard standing on the first floor. With a dagger aimed straight, he's ready to yank this bastard's life out. But it seems like our boy got carried away and let his guard down. Some guy rushes in, bringing a heavy sword down on Damien, knocking him back to the ground floor. The strength behind the blow is insane. The mysterious guy's name is Ted, someone Anderson's been waiting for to intervene. Damien admits this guy's got serious grit. With the strength he's packing, this gets our guy wondering how someone like Ted ended up working at such a third-rate place. Now he's very curious to learn why a knight of this caliber is even here at all. Let's talk about the knights for a moment. The glorious warriors of honor walk the path of martial arts throughout their lives. There's a hierarchy for them, starting off as a trainee and then an apprentice knight. Finally, they become an official knight when their skill level allows for it. The official knights are recognized as warriors capable of utilizing aura to the point that they're mountain-level warriors, capable of cutting down dozens of creatures ahead of them. They can even cut through castle walls without breaking sweat. In other words, the knights of this story are pretty damn strong. So strong, in fact, that they're considered as transcendent beings. That's actually the reason why the bar owner is out here giggling like a lunatic, because he's damn certain of his victory. Even though Ted is an apprentice knight, he swears allegiance to the leader of the Black Snake organization. With Ted's involvement, the bar owner is confident that our boy won't be able to leave this place in one piece. And yes, the One Piece is real. Damien stands on business, confidently questioning Ted's rank. He can finally understand why he felt a hint of aura in their previous clash. But his revelation just now astonishes Ted, who can't believe that someone as insignificant as our boy was able to sense his aura, even when he did his best to conceal it. Thinking about it for a minute, Damien pieces together the reason why Ted even bothers working in a shitty place like this. He thinks that Ted wasn't considered good enough to become an official knight and was tossed out from the ranks, leaving him no place to go. The verbal assault has already chipped the knight's armor, while the bar owner tries to calm him down by addressing payment. Hearing the word apprentice attached to his rank, Ted's blood starts boiling. Pissed as hell, he bursts with incredible speed to slice down the arrogant noble's mouth, in an effort to punish him for being disrespectful. But without fearing for a thing, our boy simply stands there as Ted's blade is about to slice him down. He evades the heavy strike at the very last second, which means if he hadn't dodged the attack, the enraged apprentice knight would have sliced him in half. Preparing himself for a second attack, the apprentice knight unleashes his swings at Damien. While our boy is dodging without much difficulty, he's starting to grasp his opponent's skill. From the looks of it, Ted doesn't appear to be an average apprentice knight, demonstrated by his sword ability and precise swings. Bursting with fury, the apprentice knight unleashes a wide slash, which is easily evaded by the young master. Despite possessing some of his combat ability from the future, Damien is having to struggle with his body's physical limitations. He can't make the best out of his current state, and it's a learning moment for him to prioritize managing his stamina. The apprentice knight is getting frustrated that none of his attacks are connecting. So this time he goes bats hit crazy and imbues his body with a glimmer of aura. Realizing what's coming his way, Damien predicts his opponent's secret technique. The apprentice knight launches a linear sword strike coated with immense power. As the blade is about to pierce his body, Damien calms down even in the face of imminent death. He wants to respond with a technique of his own, one that can counteract it successfully. Recalling his traumatizing days as the Death Knight, he remembers facing the legendary killer, the one known as the Blade of Death. This assassin was revered as a force of nature. So, the Death Knight came to face him. The phantom assassin immediately pointed his blade at the monstrous-looking knight, stating his intentions of killing him if he didn't run off. Realizing that the Death Knight wasn't going to comply, a sinister side evoked inside of the phantom assassin. The bloodthirsty beast was thrilled to find yet another target to kill. In fact, he wanted to use his secret technique to give a performance unlike any other. Thanks to his perceptive eyes, he was able to analyze the vital points of a human body, utilizing the water inside of it. And then he unleashed the ultimate secret technique, which he probably learned from Sukuna, slicing down on the Death Knight's body. The best part? He did all of that using a basic wooden sword, which shows the greatness of his technique even more. The Death Knight's torn body rested on the ground, while the phantom assassin celebrated his victory. Little did he know that the Death Knight wasn't going to die that easy. In fact, when he turned around, he saw doom. The creature's body was linking back together, his flesh and organs forming back into one central piece, even after being cut in half. Yep, that's because the Death Knight whipped out the anti-kit technique from the Han era. With his body fully reformed, the phantom assassin began to realize that he fucked up by targeting an undead monster. Here's the icing on the cake. After experiencing the same technique used on his body, Damien instantly learned it and was able to use his perceptive eyes to target the phantom assassin's vital points. Without even being able to comprehend what was going on, the Death Knight slaughtered the assassin by giving him the same treatment. Instant karma. And the surprising part is the Death Knight did it with bare hands. The maniacal assassin experienced excruciating pain, all the while being unable to comprehend how someone was able to copy his secret technique. And that leads us back to the present. A similar expression is worn by Ted, one of despair and defeat. He's down on the ground. His body hasn't been severed in half in a gruesome manner, but it did experience a deep slash. Our glorious protagonist explains that every single one of his enemies didn't even know what hit them until they were groveling on the ground. All of his fights went like this. Why? It's because his one inherent ability as the Death Knight is to absorb his enemy's skills and use them as his own. Long story short, Bro is out here giving Kakashi the copy ninja a run for his money. Seeing Ted go down the way he did causes the bar owner to become scared as bitch. He's out here sweating bullets, thinking that he's next. Bro's got that desperate Vegeta face going on. Seconds later, he's kneeling in front of our boy and apologizing for bringing dishonor to the hacks in Viscounty. But it doesn't end there. He also offers a serious amount of gold as a consolation for any trouble caused. Damien is out here celebrating on the inside. He only came here for a simple apology, but he's getting easy money too. He decides to let the matter slide and glances at his servant, Victor, who quietly observed the whole scene unfold. The servant quickly comes to collect the amount, questioning his own senses after what happened. He saw how the young master dismantled the knight with a crazy technique at the last second. It doesn't make sense to him how the young master suddenly obtained powerful techniques. In the next scene, they're leaving the bar. Victor comments on how he's never had to carry so much money before. But something tells me the bar owner isn't finished because this scumbag intends to take his revenge in the future. His intention is to speak to the leader of the Black Snake organization. But as he's plotting his next revenge scheme, our boy comes back to humble him by slicing off his right ear. The bar owner screams in agony, while Damien reminds him that he couldn't leave without rendering an appropriate punishment. Oh, and he already anticipates the bar owner's next move, and he's more than happy to leave a message for the leader of the organization. Damien's only warning is that if the organization dares to mess with his family, he'll wipe them all out. Despite having his ear cut off firsthand, he still wants to take his revenge and intends to report to the organization. But that's for later. As our boy keeps on walking ahead, as he's heading out, he fully comes to terms with his own wrongdoings in his previous life. His past leaves a trail of blood, one of murder and only sinful acts. He doesn't intend to run from this past, but this time he vows not to disappoint his family and always stay by their side. Damien declares that it's time for them to head home. The scene cuts to the Lion Bloom March, where a man addresses his brother regarding the phrase, "Pain always follows love." His brother doesn't know what this dude is going on about and realizes that this guy's planning to head to another battle. Rejecting his brother's assumption, the dude clarifies that he's actually going on a quest to find love. I would believe his words if not for that ugly expression on his face. Coming back to the Haxon estate, our boy is glad to have gotten a good night's sleep after his adventurous run last night. The same can't be said for poor Victor, however, who was busy processing what happened before his eyes. The horror of it all kept him awake, thinking about what would happen next. Damien emphasizes that everything worked out well in their favor, so there's nothing to worry about. Even though they deviated from the original plan, they achieved their purpose all the same. Next up, our boy is waiting for the rumors to spread around, allowing people to realize not to mess with the Viscount Haxon's eldest son. With this rumor flying around, no one will ever dare to mess with his family again. He's also happy that his reputation as the useless son will also experience a slight shift, and people will see him in a more respectful light. Even as his servant Victor can't fathom how the young master is suddenly so competent and self-aware. The servant is deathly afraid of what will happen regarding the situation with the Black Snake group, because what they did last night was provocative in every sense. Damien dogwalked their men and even annihilated an apprentice knight. Even with their threat looming around, Damien is confident that they would double-check before messing with a noble family. And if they're stupid enough to try, he'll beat them black and blue. This alleviates some of Victor's concerns, and he comments on our boy's exceptional sword skills. Skills that he shouldn't even have, which makes him question when the young master became so capable in sword fighting. Of course, our boy quickly turns away because he really doesn't have an explanation for it. Damien tells him that he trains every now and then. Speaking of Damien, his father is out here channeling the speeds of Barry Allen, the Flash. Daddy is pissed that his son was gone all day yesterday. What's more, he's scared that the kid must have caused even more trouble again. Showing no signs of fear, Damien urges his father to calm down because he handled everything and rectified his previous mistake. He then tells Victor to reveal their prized possession. The glimmering gold coins seduce his parents very quickly. It's the easiest way to make them happy. The young master informs them of his travels to the same tavern and how he cleared up a certain misunderstanding, a miscalculation that they did. And because of that, they gave him consolation money for their mistake. I just love how he omitted the part where he cut off like 20 hands and plucked off the bar owner's ear. His parents are doubtful at first, but they're quickly persuaded because of the gold. The funny thing is that Damien even uses Victor to testify on his part, shoving him under the bus as well. In the end, Victor agrees with everything the young master said, which adds more weight to his words and helps his family's trust in him. Damien's parents are happy, while Victor is out here realizing that he's got a Gaslighter Pro Max as his young master. The scene quickly cuts to our boy sprinting in the fields in order to test his stamina. After a little while, he's already exhausted and dying for breath. This makes Damien understand his own limitations, and he has to deal with his shitty body at once, or he'll be at a huge disadvantage. Pulling out a purple gem from his pocket, he's lucky to have acquired a little something that's going to help him in the short run. Before leaving the tavern, the bar owner included this tonic in his list of treasures, a creation of Alchemy Academy. It allows a significant increase in one's stamina and energy. Damien found himself surprised to hear the Academy's name. They specialize in making these types of potions and tonics, and they're so good that their value is equal to a gemstone. All the good for this young master who got his hands on it for free. At present, he quickly gulps down the tonic and, in mere seconds, experiences a jolt of electrifying energy brewing inside of him. The effects are working right away. He crushes the vial, reflecting that his most important goal right now is to build up his body back to the way it was. To become the unstoppable Death Knight, the Pookie Archlich Dorgo is bound to unleash his army of the undead, ravaging the world to ashes. Damien has to make sure to prevent that dark future from happening no matter what. That's why he's hellbent on regaining his powers. It's the only way he'll be able to protect what's dear to him, his family's safety and happiness. Pumped for another run, he bolts off, declaring that he'll kill the Archlich. And this time, he'll make sure Dorgo stays down. That very night, the scene cuts to the tower of the Black Snake group. The grunting fatso is disappointed in the apprentice knight's defeat, especially since they spent a fortune hiring him. Ted's condition is really bad. So much so that even the underlings think they should get him treated. But off-brand Kim Jong-un over here is ruthless and orders Ted to be thrown into the dumpster. Meet the boss of the Black Snake group, Cedric Walker, who apparently doesn't believe in second chances and wants Ted to be disposed of right away. After all, they can just buy another one in his place. Mustering all of his strength, the apprentice knight takes a stand and comments on how disappointing this ending is. Cedric turns around, surprised to see the knight still capable of holding his ground. He actually offers Ted a second chance if he gets treated. But based on how he was about to dispose of him only a minute ago, the apprentice knight is so pissed off that he lunges at him with his blade. But despite his desperate attempt to kill the organization's leader, he is stopped by a shadow tendril, which quickly chains him and renders him harmless. The person responsible appears and prefers killing the apprentice knight as part of their contract. Cedric is more than happy to see how their newest hire will perform. The helpless knight can only shout complaints. The mage ends up chanting a command, unleashing demonic creatures from the dark upon the helpless knight. Before the knight can even comprehend what's going on, he meets his bone-chilling demise. Despite him begging for mercy, the 5 demonic beasts devour each of his limbs as well as his head, ripping his body apart as his screams reach the ceiling. By the end, the only thing that's left of Ted is a miserable foot. Bro probably got the worst death I've seen in a while. Cedric is disgusted, but at the same time quite impressed. He accepts the mage into his group and requests for cleaner death from now on. The mage is happy to hear that and awaits his next target. The leader of the organization expresses the recent incident, which included a noble who messed with their members. However, Cedric isn't going to be stopping. All he cares about is for Damien to suffer an agonizing and gruesome death, and he's even willing to increase the pay for it. Cedric pays the mage his commission in advance. The Dark Mage is more than happy to take up this task and execute it with success. Panting in exhaustion, our boy continues his epic training arc. He's out here doing squats with a heavy load on each side, helping him become overall muscular and amp up his stamina. This training regimen is doing wonders for him. But strangely enough, the past few days have been far too quiet, almost as if disaster is right around the corner. He was fully expecting the Black Snake organization to come and shoot him down by now. As he's about to drink from his bottle, he senses the presence of 2 assassins nearby. Realizing that they're the scumbags of the organization, our boy zaps in with incredible speed to pin them down. To his utter shock, the dude he ends up attacking isn't an enemy, but actually Abel, his nerdy brother. Bro immediately releases him, causing his younger brother to flop to the ground. Abel is awestruck by his older brother's incredible strength, and he was fully expecting to get his head popped just now. It's a good thing that didn't happen. Damien apologizes and offers him a hand, sharing that it was never his intent to treat him like this. Instead of accepting his older brother's apology, the nerdy brother reveals that he learned about Damien's situation at the bar and how he got an apology out of the owner. However, from what he's heard, he knows that a fight broke out and that dozens of people were injured. Abel accuses his older brother of lying to his own family. Instead of deceiving him, Damien actually confirms the facts as the cold, hard truth. Abel jumps in his face in shock, questioning how the hell his brother was able to face off so many people. It doesn't make sense unless he hired Agent 47 or something. Even though Damien fully accepts that he's the one who did everything, Abel still isn't convinced. The only thing he cares about is that his older brother doesn't go around dishonoring their family's reputation. They're already sick and tired of cleaning the troubles he's caused in the past. Fully understanding his little brother's annoyance, Damien pats him on the head, reflecting that his little brother has a pure heart and has always wanted the best for his family. That's why he doesn't find himself annoyed at his attitude. In fact, he smiles at Abel, stating that there's nothing for them to worry about anymore. Their meeting is interrupted by Victor, who comes in panting to deliver some shockingly bad news. His sudden announcement causes both of the young masters to grow alert. In the next scene, they quickly dash into the family estate and burst open the door, only to find his parents sitting opposite to a certain man. This is the same dude from earlier who wanted to go on his quest for love, or whatever the fuck he means. Seeing Damien arrive so quickly, the arrogant man expresses his innocent intentions of sharing what happened at the banquet hall. Meet Erwin Lionbloom, the evil and beta version of Erwin from Attack on Titan. Unfortunately, he shares some terrible ties with our protagonist. To understand what happened between them, we'll have to go back to the past. At the banquet hall, he and Erwin had a little beef. Apparently, Damien was offended by something, while the calm and collected Erwin only riled him further. The drunk troublemaker reminded everyone that Erwin insulted his sister and spoke badly about him, so he has every right to take offense. Then again, Erwin smartly took advantage of our boy's drunk state and pinned the blame on that. To make matters even worse, this bastard went right up in his face to call him a retard and reminded him that even if he did say all of that, Damien couldn't do shit about it anyway. It came as a shock to our boy's system. At the time, he made the biggest mistake he could possibly make in that situation. He chose physical violence and punched the bastard away. To be honest, that punch felt really satisfying, even if it was the wrong thing to do in the hall. Even after eating a clear hit to the face, the noble released a victorious smile, implying that he always wanted the situation to turn out this way. And that brings us to the present. Damien fully understands that Erwin deliberately chose to get hit because he's actually pretty damn skilled, close enough to become a knight, so it would have been easy to dodge. As it turns out, the slimeball was waiting for this moment. In this family meeting, this man boldly tells our boy's parents that he shares admiration for Louise, their daughter. At first, the Viscount doesn't get what Erwin is trying to say. That's until Captain Douchebag over here boldly declares a marriage proposal between him and Damien's sister. The announcement rocks the Haxon family to their very senses. Damien internalizes his frustration, knowing that this is the exact sequence that took place in his previous life. The bastard took advantage of his family's poor circumstances. Erwin doubles down by saying that he'll forget what happened at the banquet hall, but only if they become a part of his family, therefore preventing any bad blood between the two houses. However, his father firmly denies such a proposal like the jigachad he is. Erwin's frustration grows after discovering that Louise already has a fiancé set for marriage. But then comes the issue of his humiliation at the banquet hall. Erwin reminds the Haxon family that they won't be able to deal with the consequences that come with denying his proposal. It will end in a wrathful outcome. The scumbag offers them a final dilemma. It's either they choose him for their daughter, or they suffer the consequences. This is truly a difficult decision for the Viscount to consider, knowing that the Lion Bloom family is tremendously powerful among the nobles. Even then, he knows just how shitty of a person Erwin truly is. His father's instincts just can't allow something so disgraceful to happen to his daughter. Suddenly, Louise herself makes her presence known, offering herself as the sacrifice and accepting the terms of marriage. Seeing their own daughter sacrifice herself like this causes the Viscount to break down. He tries to assure her that they'll find a way out of this. Even though Abel is pissed off and admits that his sister doesn't have to deal with the trouble Damien caused. Seeing her take a stand for the sake of her family even causes Damien to feel sad. But the brave girl maintains her smile, promising to go with Erwin. The whole situation is a great reminder for our protagonist, a reflection of his past mistakes summarized in one scene. Because of the problems he caused, his sister had to bite the bullet. Now that the situation has wrapped up in his favor, an evil smile crosses over Erwin's face. He's glad that they made the correct choice. As he prepares to leave, he tells Louise that a formal request will be officially sent so they can discuss details. But as he's talking all that shit, the devil himself appears before his eyes, glaring down at him. I think anyone who has a sister would have the same expression as our boy after what happened. Mocking Damien openly, Erwin calls him his brother-in-law. Damien doesn't give a damn about him, but the fact that he ruined his sister's life in the original timeline is enough motivation for him to prevent the same from happening again. Louise can't believe that her brother has taken a stand for her. He mumbles something incomprehensible, something that the arrogant blonde noble doesn't even comprehend. What he does comprehend is a Mike Tyson uppercut that launches him to the damn sky. While it's true that Damien shouldn't have fallen for Erwin's provocation again, he just can't sit around waiting for this bastard to tear his family apart. The noble's body hits the ground while our boy declares his stance strongly. He won't let Erwin do what he wants. To understand why he feels such disdain for this man, we'll have to take a peek into the original timeline of what happened the first time. After being sold off to the Lion Bloom family, Damien couldn't see his sister for a long time. So, one day, when he realized that they were coming to visit, he couldn't contain his excitement and ran with a smile on his face, excited to meet his sister. Things took a truly terrifying turn because the moment he arrived, his body shuddered in despair. Before him was his beautiful sister. Her hair was pulled like she was some kind of animal. Erwin dragged her for always complaining about her shitty family. He was pissed that she even dared to threaten leaving him. Oh, but he didn't stop there. To truly educate her and make sure she never defied him again, Erwin prepared himself properly as the innocent girl shuddered in fear. Locking in a fist, he abused her brutally as the poor girl wailed in pain. Just watching that sight broke our boy from the inside. He couldn't even protect his sister, and he's the one who got her into such a state in the first place. All because of his actions at the banquet hall. From then on, a deep hatred took root inside of Damien's heart. A hatred designed specifically for the bastard known as Erwin Lionbloom. That brings us back to the present where he's just finished uppercutting this man into a knockout. The entire family is shaken. The Lionbloom guards concerningly show up after hearing the sound of their young master moaning in pain. At once, they unsheath their weapons to seize the person responsible for hurting the young master. Damien gave them one look and realized that they're his escort guards. Speaking of the bastard, Erwin snickers like the little pest he is and gets back up. He's done being slapped twice in the face by now. Taking the situation to violent means, he clenches his sword while the Haxon family stares in horror. Finally revealing his true nature, Erwin unsheathes his blade, questioning if his brother-in-law is looking for a quick death. To prevent the situation from turning into a bloodbath, his escort guards quickly step in to handle the situation for him, since it could lead to a bad impression of him. But this time, the enraged bastard doesn't listen to reason and demands that his guards move. When one of the escort guards resists the order, Erwin literally punches him into the nearest wall. I genuinely took him for a weakling, but damn, he really is close to the skill of a knight, chillingly reminding his guards to move. Erwin glares at them with contempt. Abel and Louise are quivering for their brother's sake. While the Lionbloom young master strides forward to deal with Damien for good, he wonders how the Haxon family will resolve this situation, especially when they've made it worse tenfold. Sensing real danger for her brother's life, Louise understands that Damien will be hurt. She forcibly steps in to resolve everything. But this time, our boy defends her. No longer will she become the sacrifice. This time, Damien, her older brother, will handle the situation as he gives her a look of assurance that everything is all right. It's time for an official one-on-one duel. Hearing the word duel astonishes the Lionbloom young master. Damien makes his offer clear, stating that he'll do anything asked of him if he is defeated in the duel. But if our boy wins, everything that happened up to this point will be forgotten from both sides. Interestingly, Erwin doesn't want to accept the conditions for the duel because he already got what he wanted out of Louise. She already signed an approval from her side. Instead of backing down, Damien takes a smart approach by challenging Erwin's ego, stating that he's a coward for backing out of a duel. Basically, bro said no balls to a good argument. The funniest thing is that it actually works. Erwin considers accepting the duel simply because he thinks he'll mop the floor with Damien in a real battle, finding this as the perfect opportunity to crush Damien forever and then steal his sister from him. The sadistic fuck-faced bastard points his blade and accepts the duel. In the next scene, Damien's mother is really worried and wants to intervene. But seeing their son confidently step in like that, the Viscount thinks that Damien must have a plan behind his back. That's why they have to let their hopes rest in his hands. Unfortunately for them, Abel knows just how despairing this situation truly is. He is the only person here who fully understands Erwin's skills, comparing him to an official knight. So, from that perspective, this is a losing battle right from the beginning. The arrogant young master wants to kick the battle into motion, but he's stunned that his opponent isn't even interested in using a sword. Damien assures him that he'll be all right. In order to fully humiliate the guy, Bro brings out his trusty fork. Ah, yes, the ultimate fork sword. The only weapon that can compare to the ultimate stick of destruction. Seeing the damn fork in his hand, Erwin is at a loss for words while Damien's family is out here dying on the inside, questioning what the actual flip he's going to do with that. Erwin straight up laughs in his face, finding it reasonable to assume that his opponent has already accepted defeat. He thinks Damien's gone crazy out of terror. With full confidence, Erwin lunges into the fight, intending to cut him down. But to his utter shock, the first swing misses Damien, who evaded casually. To complicate his attack pattern, Erwin launched multiple swings, unleashing his technique, the fierce roaring lion sword. Bro's got his own Susanoo over here. Anyway, the destructive blow is all smoke and mirrors because, by the end of the attack, our boy's feet are still firmly planted on the ground. He's deflected every single strike. Even the escort guards are at a loss for words, not knowing if the young master is playing around or if his opponent is really that good. To deconstruct what happened, we take a look at Erwin's point of view. In that brief time window from when the technique launched, our boy danced around each of his swings without even getting hit once. As for Damien, he's glad that his physical training has been paying off. Thanks to his increased stamina, He can now keep up with fast movements without gassing himself out. Need I remind you guys that he's doing all of this with just a damn fork? But also, he has gained an understanding of the Lion Bloom family's swordsmanship thus far. Here's the neat part. In the original timeline, the Death Knight Damien actually faced off against the eldest son of the Lion Bloom family, Michael Lionbloom. And this guy was a force to be reckoned with. Compared to that, his little brother is disappointing and much weaker. That's why the current Damien isn't having any trouble facing him. Erwin's blood boils as he sends off waves of aura, refusing to accept that it was skill that allowed Damien to dodge his techniques. Unfortunately, the invoking of aura is dangerous for anyone to deal with. So, our boy is faced with yet another puzzle. How will he avoid this? Erwin Lionbloom races at incredible speeds to jump right in front of the target, ready to deal a killing blow. In this delicate moment, Damien considers and selects the Sword Saint technique from his list of techniques and decides to use it. A proper clash breaks out, except Erwin's world breaks into pieces when he sees a mere fork blocking his sword, and even overpowering it to some extent. He can't even fathom what's going on. Before he can even process the situation, he is struck with our boy's secret move, the countless Thunder Shadow revelations. Using that move, the ultimate fork of destruction flings the sword away with ease. It's Erwin's ultimate fall as Damien hastens to end the fight with a fork in hand. The fork stabs the arrogant noble in the neck, ending the battle. Every single person in his family gasps in horror. You guys might be thinking that a fork was used as a murder weapon just now. But it turns out that our boy is quite generous. He only poked Erwin's neck, as if to warn him that he could have done more. Even after receiving a tiny stab, this dude starts freaking out like a little shit. Of course, in his heart, Damien really would have wanted to kill him and erase the disease from the world. But he knows that he must choose his family side this time and let this situation slide. So, he concludes the duel, declaring himself as the clear winner and asking if little Erwin over here has any issues with that conclusion. Shuddering like a puppy, the arrogant noble has been reduced to a harmless doll. Damien straight up tells this dude to get lost as the scene comes to an end. If you guys think the way Damien handled that humiliation was satisfying, then like the video and show your support. After the duel, the family shares a quiet breakfast the next day. Having finished his meal, our boy gets up to leave for his training. With him gone, the family sulks in sadness. Particularly, the boy's mother is curious and wonders when they'll talk to Damien about what happened. Speaking of which, Abel is out here having his system reset. Dude is in a permanent state of shock, unable to comprehend how his brother suddenly became so goddamn powerful. Even his parents are concerned. The Viscount breaks silence, emphasizing that it wouldn't be right to force their son for an answer. He thinks the right decision here is to let the boy reveal the truth when he feels the time is right. I really like that they're not forcing him here. Such a nice touch. Apart from that, his father is visibly shaken. Though he's curious about his son, the look of death he sees in Damien's eyes intimidates him to the point he doesn't want to confront him about anything. Even though Damien is his flesh and blood, that boy has become a lot more intimidating than before. Shifting the perspective to our boy's side, he's out here, taking inspiration from Rock Lee, arming his body with heavy weight to train for endurance. As he's about to head out, Louise catches up to her brother. She's the first person from his family who wants to talk about what happened the other day. While she's struggling to form her words, our boy realizes his mistake and immediately lowers his head, apologizing for the trouble he caused and how he forced her to be in a vulnerable position. While he's ranting on and on about his apology, his sister stops him, offering her sincerest gratitude. He really did stand up for her, and she feared for her life, even though she didn't show her fear in front of Erwin. It's thanks to her brother that she avoided such a miserable fate. Hearing her admit that makes Damien very happy to have made a difference. Knowing that her brother stepped up for her cause to save her bravely is the reason she's so grateful for him. In a warm moment, while receiving her gratitude, Damien offers his own. A sister shows her love for her brother, and a brother returns it back with interest. He's thankful for everything she's done for him this far. Before Louise can comprehend what he means by that, he prepares to leave. As he's leaving, she offers him a sword to take with him. It's actually their father's most prized possession, his favorite item. To show love for his son, the Viscount counted him the blade so that Damien could use it in his training. The boy is shocked to hear such consideration from his father, while Louise reveals that even though their father can be tough on the outside, he loves Damien a lot. Funnily enough, she does her father's impression to remind dear old Damien never to use a fork again because it's disgraceful for the family. Damien's pretty damn convinced by her impression and unsheathes the blade, finding himself impressed by what he sees. He's in his father's debt. Hilariously, when we go back to his father's sword collection, we get to see that this man has a whole bunch of swords at his disposal. He's just complaining for no reason at all. In the next scene, terror looms in the shadows. The evil mage and his dark magic has made its way to a certain estate. The night guards are out here yawning in exhaustion, and right when they're caught off guard, the shadows take over them, dismantling both of them in a mere instant. With the two of them down, this mysterious mage makes his way through the gate. In the few moments that followed, the mage slowly made his way inside the house. Abel and his parents are asleep. The mage quietly steps up to Louise's room, who is also dozing off, not knowing an evil man is hovering over her. This disgusting piece of filth is enjoying himself staring at her. Even though he came here on behalf of the Black Snake, he thinks he's found himself something fun to play with. The filthy mage finds himself startled when he discovers a voice from behind. It's our boy, who is affirming at the door to look even more badass than he is. He gives the bastard a disgusting look and questions his actions. The call-out is real, as Damien goes on to express that he was able to sense strange energy lurking around their house, so he decided to check it out. The perspective of the dark mage is interesting. Even though he used a special type of magic to put everyone to sleep, it appears that Damien was unaffected by it. Not just that, the dark mage couldn't even detect his presence from behind until he spoke. These factors alone are enough to convince him that this guy is troublesome. So, he quickly turns back and unleashes Vegeta's Gatling gun over here. Dodging the magic blast, our boy moves to a different position, all the while frustrating the dark mage as he fails to understand what's happening. Damien prepares his sword, throwing the same question back at him as he reminds the scumbag that he's the one who invaded their house. Suddenly, the mage realizes that he's actually speaking to his target, Damien of the Haxon house. Confirming his identity, our boy pulls his blade, locking a lethal glare at the mage and demanding to know why the hell he stepped foot in his sister's room. The powerful magic attack shook the house and woke the rest of the family. The mage realizes that he's going to be in deep trouble if the servants have already awoken, since he's supposed to execute his task cleanly as per his orders. The dark mage decides to retreat for now. As he's fading away into a shadow mist, Damien tries to stop him. Unfortunately, there's little you can do while fighting the damn air, so his enemy escapes through the window and out the house, disappearing into the distance. With the threat neutralized, Damien suddenly spots a shred of the mage's dark energy. It appears that he left some of it behind. In the next scene, we turn to the perspective of the servants. They've just discovered the horrific sight of the Viscount's most treasured horse. If word gets out, the Viscount will raise hell. It's also strange, because the horse was doing just fine the other day. As the servants are mumbling in horror, Damien comes up to shock them with his sudden entry, expressing his own concerns. The young master's sudden arrival scares them, but he assures them that there's no need for any of them to panic, as he isn't here to hold either one of them responsible. All he cares about is for him to take a personal look, so he orders them to leave the site. Now that he's alone, Damien inspects the condition of the horse. Turns out that the same shadow trail of energy is somehow connected to this dead horse. From the looks of it, he's confirmed the presence of dark mana based on the terrifying energy signature. This also confirms his suspicions that the man he faced last night is actually a dark mage who practices such mana. Now, Damien understands that his family still doesn't know what happened. In fact, he has no intention of revealing anything, as it will only create chaos and worry. Instead, he glares back to the trail of dark energy looming in the atmosphere and creating a path into the forest. A while later, we get to see the hideout of the dark mage. Apparently, he's holding his valuables here while snickering like a Walmart villain. It's actually because Cedric recently sent him all of the things he asked for. He lied to the Black Snake's leader, stating that it's a curse. But from how much inventory he received, the dark mage is glad that his experimentations will continue down the line. At the same time, he feels disappointed in his own talent. He's having to struggle with bottom-tier requests just to earn a bit of money. Then again, it's the only choice he has, especially when the Holy Church is already on the lookout for him. It's imperative for the guy to keep a low profile, or so he thought, because following the same trail of dark energy, our boy happily shows up. Think of it like returning a favor for invading his home. He calls out the disgusting stench, I bet it's comparable to that one stranger on the bus ripping one out and killing everyone with their mustard gas. The Dark Mage can't believe his eyes. The eldest son of the Viscount, the man he fought yesterday, has just showed up to his doorstep. It bothers him that Damien managed to discover his little hideout. I mean, it wasn't hard, I bet, considering the fact that his mana smells the same as the average gamer's room. The Dark Mage shares how he had heard about the rumors of the noble standing up to the members of the Black Snake. But now that he's seen the kid in person, he can tell that Damien is more powerful than people believe him to be. The young master is glad that he was sharp, knowing that the Dark Mage shares a connection with the evil organization. The Dark Mage confirms this, revealing that a part of their deal is to make sure Damien suffers an agonizing death. Hearing this makes him laugh as he declares what's about to happen, pointing out that the mage will die for taking on such a request. Hearing such a ridiculous remark from him, the mage laughs, unveiling his sinister nature and finding joy in his victim's delusion. He's in the mood to make the perfect experimental pet out of Damien after capturing him. The swordsman prepares his sword, assuring the mage that it won't be the case, because in this life, he promised himself that he won't kill anyone unless absolutely necessary. However, the only exception to his rule are people as heinous as the Dark Mage, who are the definition of filth and disgust. Damien's more than happy to wipe them off the face of the planet. The Dark Mage is astonished yet again by the boy's knowledge, but he thinks it's all meaningless and blasts him with multiple magic circle attacks. He's not going to let the Viscount's son escape at any cost. But lucky for him, our boy doesn't share that intention either. Looking cool as fuck, he sweeps right in with an incredible lunge and connects a clean upward slash, cutting his opponent in half. Diseases are hard to kill, and just like a bad disease, this guy is also hard to kill. Despite being split in half, he simply disintegrates into the shadows, reassembling his state. Damien internalizes that his opponent is using the same ability he used back at the estate, and that this guy is actually pretty damn strong, even if he took up a lower-tier request to kill someone. Maniacal laughter releases from his mouth as the Dark Mage assumes his victory, maintaining that he won't be cut by ordinary means. So, in order to deal with a pest like him, Damien decides to go ballistic and renders numerous cuts to make sure nothing remains. Even though it's a good effort on his part, it still doesn't change the fact that his opponent's body can reassemble with ease. The Dark Mage thinks he's dealing with someone powerful, but he makes it known that the moment Damien walked inside his hideout, he sealed his own fate. Speaking of sealing his fate, the scumbag uses the same attack he used against Ted, restraining Damien in place and letting his little demons of death devour the rest. The thing is, the Dark Mage knew that the church was on his tail, so he doubled down on his preparations with advanced spells. From the looks of it, the situation is getting really tense. Even our boy is tensed up considering his circumstances. The mage grimaces in victory, laughing at the demise of his opponent, who will regret challenging a Yulon commander. With Damien restrained, he's moments away from being ultimately devoured by the creatures of the dark and meeting the same fate as the apprentice knight. The tendrils of dark mummify their victim. It's like watching a spider webbing up its prey and tangling it into place. The Dark Mage returns to his tangible form and calls Damien arrogant for being reckless with his approach. He also remembers Cedric's order to make his targets suffer as much as possible, which is made successful by the fact that he'll torture him for a long time. This bastard is also out here celebrating that now he can feast on the beauty he saw at his house without any interruptions. That's until Damien drops a little surprising note for him. He breaks apart the decomposing curse spell that he just used. At a loss for words, the Dark Mage returns a look of despair, questioning how his prey is unaffected. It's impossible to dispel the curse unless someone knows about dark magic, which is exactly what our boy did. Here's the thing, though. Even Damien is taken aback by what he did. I guess his regression powers kicked in, because it appears he awakened an authority insignia on his body, even though he shouldn't have it at this point in the past. Let's talk about what an authority actually is. In this world, it's known as the power of a god being gifted to mortals. In this case, Dorgo favored his Death Knight so much that he infused the strongest magic and binded it into him. Even after giving him indestructible magic and power, Dorgo was left unsatisfied. He wanted more out of his Death Knight, the ultimate servant and the sword of evil. Hence, he decided to slit his own hand, unleashing a part of his dark power, turning the Death Knight into an ultimate weapon. A column of dark mana pulsed upon the Death Knight. Dorgo forced his authority upon him, and with a final hand sign, He imbued all of it into Damien's body, carving an insignia on his hand. That evil power ripped his body apart, giving him a world of pain unlike any other. By the end of the process, the Death Knight had transcended into a realm of becoming unstoppable. This Gigachad received the authority of God and became a force to be reckoned with. Side note, all of a sudden, I'm starting to realize why Dorgo got his ass nuked. Bro literally turned his Death Knight into a mini nuclear weapon and thought things were going to be fine. Back to the present, Damien remembers the mark of the authority of greed. It's his power as the Death Knight resurfacing again. Before he's able to process it fully, another magic blast comes his way, which he quickly evades. The Dark Mage raises an immediate question for him. Just how the hell was he able to survive his decomposition spell? Being a good sport, Damien funnily says that he had a trump card, and that's why. The most convincing explanation is actually the power of plot armor, and the author makes sure to slide that part in. Back to the battle, Damien has now gained an understanding of his opponent and his connection to Yulon. This Yulon is actually another organization, an even more sinister one that practices assassination using dark magic. Compared to them, the Black Snake is nothing. It's not a surprise that this guy is actually pretty damn skilled. The Dark Mage assesses the situation too, internalizing that he can't let this battle drag on for any longer, especially when his opponent is unpredictable. Even though he wanted to save his ultimate weapon for the church, he thinks it's an appropriate time to whip out the good stuff. With his bracelet glowing a bright green, the mage unleashes a wave of mana, exuding from his body as he slowly loses control of himself. Even Damien notices that this guy is using a dangerous amount of dark mana. From his understanding, the bracelet appears to be some kind of artifact to store mana. Well, things go from 0 to 100 really quick when this guy uses his full power. He summons an illusory beast that I don't even know how to describe. Let's call him the Ugly Five Eyes. Having lost control, the Dark Mage roars the demise for his opponent and declares Damien will burn in hellfire. The creature of destruction fully swarms in and connects against our boy's body. With a direct hit like that, the Dark Mage once again assumes his victory. How could anyone on Earth possibly survive such a hellfire? After all, hellfire is something that can't be expunged, even after one's death. Using the power of plot armor once again, Damien breezes through the green flames, pointing out the mage's miscalculation. The thing about the authority of greed is that it simply doesn't dispel magic. Damien stands unharmed as the same hellfire flames get absorbed into his body. He stands uncontested, having become more powerful than ever before, revealing that the function of his authority is to absorb all dark magic. The mage is at a loss for words, questioning how a Viscount's son could have the terrifying power of authority. It's time for this fight to end as the young master readies his blade, commanding that he has nothing to explain to a dead man. But on the inside, Damien is genuinely pissed off that he has to rely on his dark powers to win a battle. At the same time, he doesn't have much choice but to invoke the techniques of the Death Knight in order to win this fight. The Dark Mage is at a loss for words when he sees the Aura Blade. The sword is coated in a black aura, and it's not just any sword technique, either. It's something only achievable by a warrior of the Swordmaster rank. Before he yaps again about his confusion about Damien's abilities, our boy renders his ultimate technique, the soul-severing slash, slicing his opponent's body clean and leaving a massive gash in the cave. The place crumbles after being devastated by his blade, while Damien glares at his victim. Without pause, Damien walks toward the fallen mage and pins him down with his sword, demanding the location of the Dark Snake hideout.